Have you ever seen how certain items in your house simply occupy space yet are difficult to part with? Clutter can easily accumulate over the years, including sentimental objects hidden in corners, piles of documents, and outdated furniture. The reality is that you need to purge certain household goods before you turn 70. Creating a home that feels lighter, easier to maintain, and more in line with your desired lifestyle is the goal of doing this, not merely making room. We're delving into 6 particular household objects in this video that are burdening you more than you may think. You'll find that letting go of things that silently cause tension in your everyday life, old possessions that no longer serve you, or items you've kept onto out of habit can all provide you with surprising relief. More significantly, you'll discover that clearing out these things is about liberation rather than loss. Let's get going now. First on the list, unused and worn-out furniture. Old, worn-out furniture that is no longer useful is one of the main causes of clutter in the home. It's simple to amass extra seats, tables, and cabinets over time. Items that may have served a purpose in the past but are now underused and occupy important space. Furthermore, retaining furniture that is no longer comfortable or useful can lead to needless tension in addition to being a physical weight. Consider the large dining table that hasn't been used for a large family get-together in years, the dresser with the sticky drawers that annoys you every time you attempt to open it, or the heavy chair in the corner that nobody ever uses. These items are merely taking up space in your life. They are not contributing to it. Furthermore, having too much furniture might actually make your house more difficult to navigate as you age, raising the possibility of tripping, bumping into objects, or just feeling overloaded. Consider Frank. He's 74 years old and has spent decades in the same home. He accumulated furniture over the years, some of which he bought, some of which he inherited, and some of which he received from friends. His house felt comfortable at one time, but as time passed, he began to notice that cleaning took longer. It was harder to move around his house, and some of the rooms looked more like storage areas than places to unwind. He didn't know it was time to change until his daughter came to visit and casually said that he had 5 chairs in his living room, but only 2 of them were ever utilized, so he took a daring step. He began with a single room, deciding to discard the things that were no longer truly useful. Gone is the shabby chair with the unsteady leg. Out the door was the enormous coffee table that made it difficult to move around the space, and he experienced an unanticipated sense of relief as he removed each piece. He thought that his house was simpler to live in, more spacious, and more welcoming. The thing about furniture is that it improves your life when it's functional. However, it stealthily depletes your vitality and clutters your environment when it becomes nothing more than unnecessary weight. Furthermore, a property can feel like home without being overflowing with furnishings. Actually, the less you have, the more you value what you have left. Ask yourself, when was the last time I actually used this? If you're hoarding furniture that isn't helping you anymore, things is probably time to let things go if you have to think about it. Because a home that is easy to maintain, move around, and enjoy is far more valuable than a table or chair that isn't being utilized. Clothes you never wear come in second. All of us eventually hang on to clothes we no longer wear. Perhaps it's a dress you purchased for a special event decades ago, a suit that hasn't fit in years, or an assortment of worn-out t-shirts that are still unworn in your drawers. In any event, it's time to examine your clothing and ask yourself, do I really need all of this? Before you hit 70. In actuality, having a wardrobe full of items you never wear isn't only a waste of room, it's also causing needless clutter in your life. Memories can be stored in clothing. Even though you may not give them much thought, the old shoes at the bottom of your closet, the blazer you wore to a significant event, and the pants you once loved but haven't worn in years are all still there, silently taking up space. Additionally, discarding outdated clothing often feels like letting go of the past for many people. However, keep in mind that your closet should represent your current self, not your past self. Consider Linda. She only wore a few pieces of clothing on a regular basis, despite having a wardrobe full of things at 72. She owned 1980s gowns, jackets she hadn't worn in decades, and shoes that were nice-looking but painful for her feet every time she wore them. She would stand in front of her closet every morning, frustrated by the sheer volume of options, the majority of which were no longer even useful. She made the decision to change one day. She emptied her closet and arranged everything into three piles: things she liked and wore, garments that no longer fit or felt comfortable, and stuff she kept just in case. The third category was the most difficult to sort through. However, she discovered that she was gaining space, clarity, and a wardrobe that truly made her life easier as she began to go with items she hadn't worn in years. The secret is that decluttering your wardrobe not only helps you get rid of fabric, but it also makes your daily routine easier. You make it simpler to locate clothes you truly like wearing, to get dressed in the morning, and to navigate life without needless stress. What's the best part? Instead of letting those clothing languish in your closet, someone else might be using them. Why not give them to a person in need? Ask yourself, do I really need this? If your closet is stuffed full of items you seldom wear, it's time to part with it if it's uncomfortable, doesn't fit, or hasn't been worn in years. Because you should have a wardrobe that suits you, not one that makes you feel heavy at this point in your life. Please leave a number 2 comment below to let me know whether you're still viewing this video and finding these ideas helpful. To ensure you don't miss any videos, I advise you to subscribe and turn on the bell if you haven't already. All right, let's proceed. Third, old toiletries and expired pharmaceuticals. Old toiletries and expired pharmaceuticals, which you most likely have in your bathroom cupboard right now, are among the most ignored types of domestic clutter. These things often accumulate without our knowledge. Perhaps it's a bottle of old painkillers, partially used prescription drugs you never used, or skincare items you purchased but never really loved. Before you realize it, your cupboards and drawers are crammed with items you no longer need, some of which may even be dangerous. There is a reason why medications expire. Their efficacy dwindles with time, and in certain situations, they may even become dangerous. Keeping old medicines just in case may sound innocuous, but the reality is that you should be asking your doctor for a new prescription, one that is current and suitable for your present medical needs, if you ever need that medication again. Despite this, a lot of us leave bottles of expired medications hidden away, not understanding that they do nothing but take up room and increase unneeded risk. The same is true of toiletries. Things like that old lotion bottle you haven't used in years, that sunscreen tube from an unknown time period, or that perfume you stopped wearing 10 years ago don't last forever. Many individuals are unaware that cosmetics and skincare items have expiration dates, and that using them past their best can cause infections or skin discomfort. Even so, we keep them in the hopes of using them someday. However, let's face it, if you haven't used it in months or years, you probably won't. Consider Robert. He takes delight in maintaining order in his 75-year-old home. He opened his medicine cabinet one day while looking for a bandage and discovered it was full of boxes and bottles he hadn't touched in years. Half-used tubes of antibiotic cream, expired medicines, and a prescription for something he didn't even need. Everything was only sitting there. When he eventually took the time to go through everything, he was surprised to see how much he had been storing just in case. He also felt relieved when he cleared out his cabinet, since he knew that everything that was left there was safe and functional. Many individuals are unaware of that. Decluttering your toiletry and medications is important for safety reasons as much as aesthetics. About possessing what you truly require, and about getting rid of things that aren't necessary. You create space for the drugs you really need when you get rid of expired ones. Eliminating outdated toiletries makes your daily routine easier and guarantees that everything you use is efficient and fresh. Now is the time to examine your bathroom drawers and medicine cabinet if you haven't done so recently. Examine your prescriptions, dispose of those that have expired properly. Instead of leaving a medication that you no longer need lying about, properly dispose of it. Be honest with yourself when it comes to toiletries. You probably won't use them again if you haven't used them in more than a year. Enjoy the simplicity of having only the things you really need and let it go. Fourth, unused mail, old papers, and documents. Paper is one of the most prevalent types of clutter, but it's also one of the simplest to overlook. From old invoices and expired warranties to instruction manuals for items you no longer own. The quantity of useless paperwork that ends up in most homes is astounding. It builds up over time in stacks on desks, drawers, old folders, and even crates that are kept just in case. And it's time to take charge of it before you become 70. Not only does paper clutter take up room, but it can also lead to stress. Imagine how annoying it would be to look for a crucial document only to have to sift through piles of documents that ought to have been discarded years ago. Or the overpowering feeling of always being behind on things when there is a mountain of unopened mail on the counter. In actuality, the majority of the documents we retain are no longer required, and letting them go can be quite relieving. Consider Barbara. She was 73 years old and had a whole filing cabinet full with old utility bills, long-forgotten receipts from purchases, and even tax returns from the 1980s. Documents that had been hanging there for years with no real purpose to be kept. She became aware of how much of her documentation was out of date and unnecessary one day when she was having trouble locating a crucial insurance document. She made the decision to look through everything, saving just the documents that truly important. Even though it took some time, she cut her paperwork in half at the end, and for the first time in years, she knew exactly where to look for what she wanted. That's the problem. Decluttering your paperwork helps you create mental space, in addition to creating space in your house. You're clearing your mind of the mental clutter that results from seeing folders full of items you'll never need again, stacks of old documents, and mounds of mail. What's the best part? You don't need to preserve hard copies of everything because most vital records can now be accessed online thanks to modern technology. How do you begin then? Start by going through your documents critically. Most likely, you don't need it if you haven't looked at it in years. Destroy outdated contracts and bank statements. Appliance manuals that you no longer own should be recycled. Only keep the most important financial, legal, and medical records and arrange them so that you can quickly access them when you need them. Additionally, stop allowing your mail to accumulate. Is it junk mail? Throw it out right away. Bills? Pay them and simply file what is required. You never read periodicals or newsletters? Terminate the subscriptions. The objective is straightforward. Just retain the documents that are actually useful and discard the others. Please leave a number 4 comment below to let me know if you're still watching this video and finding these ideas helpful. To ensure you don't miss any videos, I advise you to subscribe and turn on the bell if you haven't already. We can keep producing high-quality content to educate and uplift you thanks to your support. All right, let's proceed. 5th, kitchenware you never use. One of the most congested rooms in a house is the kitchen, where things that aren't really needed can easily gather over time. Before you turn 70, it's time to get rid of the kitchen clutter that's making your area more disorganized than it has to be. This includes cabinets full of mismatched containers, drawers full of tools you never use, and outdated pots and pans collecting dust. Due of habit, many people keep kitchenware. Perhaps it's a set of elegant dishes you've been putting off for a noteworthy event that never materializes, or tiny equipment you purchased years ago but haven't used since. Even a set of spatulas, many coffee mugs, or an overflowing drawer of plastic lids without corresponding containers could be 3 or 4 different versions of the same equipment. The reality is that having a kitchen full of superfluous or useless stuff makes life more difficult rather than easier. Consider George. He has spent decades in the same home and is now 76 years old. His kitchen grew throughout the years with appliances and kitchenware he hardly ever used. Toasters, food processors, and blenders were left unattended, cabinets full of plates and glasses, and cabinets full of tools he couldn't even recall purchasing. He had to search through clutter each time he needed something. He decided enough was enough one day as he was looking for a pan and accidentally knocked over a stack of unused baking sheets. And so he decided. He asked himself a straightforward question as he walked around his kitchen, one area at a time. Do I really use this? He put it aside if the response was negative. No more duplicates. Pantry supplies and spices that had gone bad. Thrown out. He donated the bread maker he purchased years ago and only used once. His kitchen felt like a totally different place by the time he was done. More useful, better organized, and most importantly, simpler to use. And the secret is that you can make your kitchen work for you rather than against you by getting rid of things you never use. Cooking gets easier. It takes less time to clean. Additionally, crowded cabinets and messy countertops no longer intimidate you. To make delicious dishes, you don't need a kitchen that is overflowing. All you need are the necessities. Look around your kitchen then. Get your cabinets open, examine your drawers, and consider this. How recently have I utilized this? If years have passed, it's just gathering dust, or you're keeping it just in case, it's time to part with it. Because having a kitchen that is stocked with only the items you truly use not only makes life easier to manage, but it also makes it more pleasurable and seamless. Sixth, sentimental objects that are no longer useful to you. Among the most challenging items to declutter, sentimental objects. Many individuals find it difficult to let go of sentimental items like old letters, presents from loved ones, mementos from previous trips, or boxes with memories from decades past because they hold emotional weight. Here's something to think about though. Before you age 70, you should ask yourself if these nostalgic items are making you happy or just taking up room. Because they feel bad about parting with sentimental objects, many individuals keep them. A stack of old birthday greeting cards, a present from a deceased relative, or childhood mementos from your children or grandchildren. All of these items serve as a reminder of significant occasions. But when they accumulate, they can also become too much to handle. In actuality, memories are within you rather than in things. Furthermore, maintaining an overwhelming amount of sentimental clutter only makes managing the present more challenging and does not pay respect to the past. Consider Helen. She has been hoarding old letters, mementos, and keepsakes from all phases of her life in boxes and boxes. She is 78 years old. She discovered she had a whole storage unit full of items she hadn't looked at in years after downsizing to a smaller house. Initially, it seemed difficult to get rid of anything. What would happen if she lost the memories associated with such objects? What if letting go meant that a piece of her life was being erased? Then, however, she changed. She began to be selective rather than clinging to everything. Her wedding album, a few letters from loved ones, and a modest assortment of sentimental mementos were among the few items she retained that held true significance. She let the others leave. She gave away things that might still be helpful to other people. She snapped pictures of things she didn't need to physically preserve but wanted to remember. And when she did, she had a surprising sense of relief. Many individuals are unaware of that. Making room to appreciate the present is what decluttering sentimental objects entails, not forgetting the past. It entails letting rid of the rest and retaining the best. Additionally, it entails making the decision to surround yourself with happy things rather than burdensome ones. Therefore, if you've been hoarding sentimental objects that are causing you more trouble than good, stop and think. Do you need to preserve every letter, memento, and memento in order to recall the people and events that influenced you? Or are you able to free up space in your home while preserving the memories in your heart? Because the things that offer you joy and calm every day are more valuable than those that are gathering dust at this point in your life. Please leave a number 6 comment below to let me know if you're still watching this video and finding these ideas helpful. To ensure you don't miss any videos, I advise you to subscribe and turn on the bell if you haven't already. We can keep producing high-quality content to educate and uplift you thanks to your support. Last words. Think about the 6 household things we've covered as we conclude this video. Making your home feel lighter, easier to maintain, and more in line with your desired lifestyle is the goal of decluttering before you reach 70. Every item you give up is a step toward clarity, simplicity, and mental calm rather than a loss. What caught your attention the most? In your own house, which of these items do you see? Perhaps you've already begun to part with furniture that isn't useful to you. Perhaps you've come to see how much simpler life would be without the mess of outdated documents, unnecessary kitchenware, or emotional belongings that no longer make you happy. Or perhaps this video opened your eyes to the fact that decluttering is about freedom rather than just possessions. We would be delighted to hear from you. Tell us about one thing you learned today and how you intend to apply it in your life in the comments section below. We value your opinions, so please feel free to express them. We are greatly inspired and encouraged by reading your remarks. Please like, subscribe, and share this video if you found it entertaining and useful. We can keep producing high-quality content to educate and uplift you thanks to your support. We appreciate your time and hope to see you in the upcoming video.